Going on, guys? Welcome to Orange Farm. In today's video, we're going to be talking about the Detroit Lions visiting the Denver Broncos in the aftermath of what happened there. The Lions lost this game. They fall to 1-11-1 as the Denver Broncos go up to 7-6, trying to stay afloat on that playoff race. It's getting pretty tight over there in the AFC. It was a 38-10 drumming by the Denver Broncos, and just an all-around bad game, strange game. And we'll get into that with the injuries, and we had the flu going on and some COVID stuff. Just an all-around massacre for the Detroit Lions. First quarter, Javonte Williams, the rookie out of North Carolina running back, had a 5-yard rush. That made it 7-0 for the Broncos. Then Melvin Gordon had another rushing touchdown for Denver on a 1-yard plunge. That made it 14-0 Denver Broncos. Then the second quarter came around, flipped the field. Khalif Raymond for the Detroit Lions had a passing touchdown for 7 yards from Jared Goff. That made it 7-14 for the Broncos. And then Riley Patterson, the Detroit Lions field goal kicker, hit a 36-yard field goal. That made it 10-14. Lions were playing okay football in the first half. They were in it. You know, they made a couple stops against Denver in that, especially in that running attack. Kind of held the Broncos in check a little bit. Broncos defense was playing really well, but they go into the halftime 10-17 after Brandon McManus hit a 52-yard field goal to get into halftime. So it made it 17-10 for the Denver Broncos. The third quarter came around and it was all downhill for the Detroit Lions. Javonte Williams had a passing touchdown after Shelby Harris punched the ball out of Godwin Igwebuike. I think he had 2 fumbles too. Our Lions running back there. He's more of a special teams guy, but he kind of got thrown into the mix because the Swift and Jamal Williams injuries. I believe he had 2 fumbles that game. Shelby Harris from the Denver Broncos punched out one of this ball, and Denver Broncos had a short field, and Javonte Williams got a touchdown for 10 yards. That made it 24-10 Denver. And then Melvin Gordon with another rush, who had a really good day with a 14-yard rush for a touchdown. That made it 31-10 Denver Broncos. And then late in the fourth quarter, tight end Albert Okwuegbunam, hopefully I said that name right. That's a tough name to say. Had a passing touchdown for about 4 yards from Teddy Bridgewater. That made it 38-10 Denver Broncos, and that was really all. That was the end of the scoring. It was 38-10. Game, set, match. Lions lose another one. Some notable stats to start with the Lions first. Goff went 24 for 39 at 61%. Completion percentage, 215 yards and a touchdown and a pick, sacked twice. Rushing, Craig Reynolds got into the mix. You guys know who Craig Reynolds is. He was the preseason superstar for the Detroit Lions, and kind of got thrown in the mix there. I thought it was going to be more Godwin, and I thought maybe Jamar Jefferson was going to get some more carries. Jamar Jefferson didn't get 1 carry. I guess he had an ankle injury, and he was dealing with the flu too as well. So I don't. He might have gotten in a couple snaps, but I didn't really see him. But Craig Reynolds got all the carries, most of them anyways, 11 carries for 83 yards and 7.5 yards per carry. He had a really nice day. Receiving wise, Amon-Ra St. Brown again, the rookie, had eight catches for 73 yards on 12 targets. So Jared Goff is looking for the kid. So Amon-Ra St. Brown's starting to really develop. I do like looking at that, and that's something to really develop and look forward to down the line. Josh Reynolds had 3 catches for 52 yards, 17.3 yards per reception. And then Khalif Raymond had 4 catches for 31 yards and a touchdown. Brock Wright, who was stepping in for TJ Hawkinson, who had a hand injury, he had 3 catches as well. Shane Zylstra, a guy that called up from the practice squad, a guy that I actually like a lot, had a couple catches as well. And then Craig Reynolds had a couple catches too. So not just only can that kid run, but he can catch the ball as well too. Defense, there wasn't really a lot to crow about. Nothing too exciting. It was like a makeshift defense. There's a lot of guys out there that normally don't dress, that normally don't play much. But you saw Josh Woods out there. He had about 13 tackles. The linebacker that we picked up from the Chicago Bears practice squad. Will Harris, a safety, had 9 tackles. Aleem McNeil had 4 tackles and a sack. Kind of ran into a sack there. Bridgewater kind of ran into him. But it was good. It was good awareness by Alim McNeil, but he did get the sack. He kind of got the monkey off his back. He was looking for that first sack as a DT. And then Jesse Lemonnier had 6 tackles too. Kind of a guy that I like a lot too. Got some pass rush ability. He had to get inserted into the lineup as well too, because of all these guys getting sick and everybody hurt. It was just a gong show for the Detroit Lions. And then the Denver Broncos, Bridgewater was 18 for 25. He didn't have to throw the rock too much. 72% completion percentage. One thing you say about Bridgewater is that he's a pretty accurate passer, and his completion percentage is usually pretty high normally. He had 179 yards and 2 touchdowns, sacked once by Alim McNeil, Alim the Dream. Rushing, Melvin Gordon led the charge with 24 carries for 111 yards, 2 touchdowns at a 4 yards per carry. And then Javonte Williams, the kid, had 15 for 73 and a touchdown for 4.9 yards per carry, for a total of about 184 yards on the ground. They gashed the Lions on the ground. The defense couldn't really stop anybody. The receiving, a lot of the receivers for the Denver Broncos didn't really have to do a lot of work. You saw Noah Fant led the charge with four catches for 51 yards. And then Jerry Jeudy had 5 catches for 47 yards. And then Albert Okwuegbunam had 5 catches for 41 yards and a touchdown. So not a lot of receiving going on in Denver. It was more of a running attack, and we couldn't stop it. Now for defense, the most notable stats that I could see was Justin Simmons had a nice day. I told everybody to look out for that kid. He had 6 tackles and a pick. Shelby Harris had that forced fumble. Jonathan Cooper had 5 tackles and a fumble recovery. Then Draymond Jones, slash defensive end DT, he kind of plays inside outside. He had 3 tackles and 2 sacks. He had a really good day, and he was batting balls down. He was making plays for the Denver Broncos. He's a good D lineman. The Broncos, and that was really it for the stats. The Broncos honored Demaryius Thomas, who passed away over the weekend. It was a nice tribute. They came on the field with 10 men on the field and took the penalty. Lions declined it. It was a really nice class act by the Denver Broncos and the Detroit Lions for honoring Demaryius Thomas. Rest in peace, Demaryius. The Lions just, back to the game. The Lions could not stop the run. Bridgewater didn't really have to drop back and throw the rock as much as anybody thought they would have. So if anybody started any receivers or anything like that for the Denver Broncos in fantasy, you might have been a little disappointed. I was a little bit disappointed because I had Melvin Gordon going in a couple leagues, and I ended up sitting him in at least one league, and I needed some of those points. And he had a big day for the Broncos. I should have played him. Just like I said, Lions could not stop the run. Just an overall bad game by the Detroit Lions. Like I said, makeshift starters, guys that really have no business being in there and playing for long periods of time. It's something, like I said, this is a developing year. But when you have injuries and you have this COVID, you got the flu going on, we saw a lot of guys that we normally would never see. So it was just an all-around awful game for the Detroit Lions. They just couldn't get anything going. Dan Campbell going for it again, getting criticized deep into the Lions territory. He's going for it on 4th and 1, 4th and 2. But you guys have to remember what's going on here. If I sound like a broken record, when you score only 16.4 points a game, as the Detroit Lions do, there's really nothing you can do. You get down by 14 points, it's almost a wrap. It's almost done. That game is pretty much over. And then they kick a field goal, you might as well just walk out of the stadium. It's done. We don't score points. So anybody who's criticizing Dan Campbell for going for it all the time, why not? You have to put points on the board. So if we just keep punting away, and our defense, who has played that bend but don't break defense, sometimes they break totally down. And the Broncos were starting to really gel in the second half, especially in the running game, obviously. And they were just scoring, playing good defense. All the above, everything against the Detroit Lions. I have no issue with him going for it. And I still think this team is on a somewhat tank. I know Dan Campbell wants to win here, but I know in the same breath, he knows he can't win with this roster. We all know. If we know, he knows. And he knows a whole hell of a lot more than we do. So, and like I said, we score 16.4 points a game. What we have to do is score points. And we just can't. We just can't, but we have to keep trying. You have to just keep trying. And when you're down by 14 points, I got some argument with some guy on Twitter about this. He doesn't understand the whole concept of Dan Campbell. He just thinks he's just this Neanderthal head coach that just doesn't know what he's doing. I don't think that's the case. And this is not a Dan Campbell is the best coach in the NFL. I'm not saying that. I'm not saying that whatsoever. The jury is still out. But what I see in this team is a team that struggles in almost every single category. So they got nothing to lose. They have nothing to lose. And like I said, 16.4 points a game, you're going to try to just keep scoring. Even though you can't, doesn't mean you're just going to keep punting away. So they were already down by 14. He started making these questionable fourth down decisions, going for it. So what? It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. At this point, what's going on, it doesn't matter. He's just trying to put points on the board. Now, does he know that this offense can't? Jared Goff's incapable. He's this, he's that. We've seen Jared Goff be better. Jared Goff wasn't overly bad in this game. I don't think he was overly great either. That Denver defense, I think, is the real deal. They get the job done. They have an excellent secondary. We were running the ball well at one point with Reynolds. Godwin had a couple carries, and then don't really know who else. I didn't write it down, but I know Godwin had a few carries. He also had a couple fumbles, one for sure that I remember. But, when you start getting down by 14, 17, 20, the kind of run game kind of goes away. Even though Dan Campbell's trying to stick with it, it's tough. It's really tough. So, and it's just hard to put into place, man, what this team is doing. Like, everybody wants to think that he's just this, like I said, this Neanderthal coach. And I don't believe he is. I don't really believe he is. I think the jury's still out on him. I'm not saying that he is the guy, but we know what this roster is about. And you have to look at the big picture. Nobody wants to. Nobody wants to look at the big picture. They just look at what's going on at the moment. And that's not how you should gauge this year. This year is a complete write-off. They're bad on offense, really bad on offense, actually. Really, really, really bad. But ever since Dan Campbell has taken over the play calling, they've kind of found a running game. You have to give him credit for that. I still think Jared Goff isn't the answer. We don't have the wide receivers. We got a couple pieces that you might be able to build around, but to be honest with you, we don't have any number ones even on this roster right now. Not even close. The closest to a number one wide receiver on this team is probably Josh Reynolds, and he's not even a number one. He's probably barely a number two. Maybe. He reminds me a lot of Marvin Jones. He just reminds me a lot of Marvin Jones. Maybe not as smooth and as smooth in his breaks and smooth. He's a solid route runner, but I just think he reminds me a little bit of Marvin Jones. And Marvin Jones was a great number two in Detroit. Could Reynolds be that good? I don't know. He's never even come close to it because he's been stuck in L.A. and he was behind guys like Cooper Kupp, Robert Woods, all those type of guys, Brandon Cooks. So he's never really showcased his overall talent. And I think it's a guy that probably could stick around next year, but that's a whole other video. So it's just really tough, a tough offense that we don't have, and we don't have a great defense. We have a better defense this year. Like I said, the bend but don't break, but sometimes they break down. And they got gashed on the ground on Sunday. Beat up, destroyed. That D-line was horrible. Not much pressure, one sack. They didn't do a lot. Now, it was, like I said, a lot of injuries, flu, COVID, stuff was going on. So that was really like a D squad that was playing out there. Guys that have no business playing. So, but that was it, guys. It was a 38-10 butt kicking. We go on to play the Arizona Cardinals next. Good luck with that. That's going to be tough because the Cardinals are kind of trying to lock up that division. They're really close. So Detroit coming to town is just, that's huge for them. Or are they coming here? I don't even remember. But I know we do play the Arizona Cardinals. So it was just kind of an ugly game, guys. 38-10. Not a lot of positives. Take it easy on the Campbell bashing. I don't think it's necessary right now. This is an evaluation year, and if you don't understand that, then you can't be helped. It just honestly, I just can't stress it enough. It's an evaluation year with a bad roster. Overall, lots of bad things going on. So we have to be patient with this. If Dan Campbell's still doing this down the road, then we can talk. But that was it, guys. 38-10, butt kicking by the Denver Broncos. Ugly as ugly can get. And that's the video. Thanks for paying attention. Thanks for tuning in. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button on the bottom right. Don't forget to hit the notification bell. Get all my videos. Don't forget to like and comment. Let's chat. Let's chat about this game. It was ugly, but let's talk about it. Boom. Go Lions. Let's go.